President Buhari sends names of ministerial nominees to the Senate for confirmation to replace Rotimi Amechi, Godswill Akpabio, and others who resigned from the cabinet to pursue political ambition. And Kogi State House of Assembly is in crisis after some members moved to remove the speaker. We'll find out what is behind all of the issues. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. Let's get started, everyone. So much to talk about. There are those who have left the APC. There are those moving from one party to the other because of the fallout of the primary. Of course, President Buhari is made true to his promise of replacing those who have resigned from his cabinet. We'll find out details of their exit from the cabinet and those who have been nominated to be confirmed by the Senate. We assess that for you and what it means between now and May next year. Also, a crisis in the Kogi State House of Assembly. What is happening? Some of them have said it's about the governor and the politics of the state. We'll find out on this program. Stay with me. But first and foremost, let's check out the political roundup stories.
The House of Representatives today stepped down a motion to override President Muhammadu Buhari on the Electoral Act amendment. The amendment is on Section 84, subsection 8, to allow statutory delegates participate in political parties, congresses, and conventions. The motion was stepped down after the Deputy Speaker, who presided over plenary, advised the mover of the motion, Benny Bakba, against violating the procedure for overriding the president, asking him to come with a bill instead of a motion. There is a massive turnout of young people who are determined to break all odds and get registered for their permanent voters' cards ahead of the 2023 general elections, as the Independent National Electoral Commission begins the Youth Votes Count campaign in Abuja in collaboration with Yaga Africa. The Youth Vote Count campaign is a special moment to mobilize young people to register and vote in subsequent elections in Nigeria, beginning from the 2023 general elections. Records with the Independent National Electoral Commission show that young people accounted for over 51% of the total number of registered voters in 2019, but not up to 30% of this population voted.
We cannot have a huge population of people who are of voting age, and what the record on election is just 35% turnout. It doesn't bode well for our democracy.
The Labour Party presidential aspirant, Mr. Peter Obi, says the 2023 general elections is an opportunity for citizens to get rid of bad governance. Mr. Obi believes the reason why the Nigerian economy is collapsing is because the country lacks productivity.
The more you pull people out of poverty, the more you reduce criminality. You have to deal with what is causing that insecurity in the first place. If you don't know where the next meal will come from, you're a security risk.
And Northern youths under the banner of the APC Stakeholders Vanguard are calling on President Muhammadu Buhari to intervene in the process of picking a running mate for the party's presidential candidate. The group is protesting against any plan to fill the Muslim ticket during the 2023 presidential election.
Those toying with the idea of the Muslim ticket must realize that the North Central is a crucial constituency that needs to be harnessed to present the formidable team that will graduate, that will guarantee electorate success to the elections.
All right, then, there you have it, some of your political roundup stories. Let's tell you that the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has nominated Senator Philip Aduda as the new minority leader to fill the vacant seat created by Senator Eyinaya Abaribe's defection to the All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA. Also, the party nominated Senator Chukwuka Utazi as the new Senate Minority Whip. On the floor of the Senate also, this was what happened. President Buhari sent in the names of nominees for confirmation of ministerial nominees and is written to the Senate seeking the confirmation of 7 ministerial nominees. The nominees include Henry Ikechukwu from Abia State, Umana Okon Umana, Akwa Ibom State, Akuma Joseph, Ebonyi State, Goodluck Nana Obia, Imo State, Umar Ibrahim Yakub, Kano State, Ademola Adewale Adegorioye, Ondo State, Odo Udi, Rivers State. The Senate has, however, not fixed a date yet for the screening exercise. A few ministers resigned from the federal cabinet a few weeks ago, sometime in May, to pursue their presidential, governorship, and senatorial ambitions.
To forward the underlisted ministerial nominees for confirmation by the Senate. 1. Henry Ikechukwu Iko, Abia State. 2. Umana Okon Umana, Akwa Ibom State. 3. Ekuma Nkama Joseph Nkama, Ebonyi State. 4. Goodluck Nana Opia, Imo State. 5. Umar Ibrahim Eliakub, Kano State. 6. Ademola Adewole Adegorie, Ondo State. And 7. Odum Udi, River State. Copies of their curriculum vitae are attached herewith. It is my hope that this exercise will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the distinguished members of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That's the Senate President reading the letter from the President, Muhammadu Buhari. Well, what's the implication of the new nominations? They have from now till the May 29, 2023 to hold these offices. They will be replacing the likes of Godswill Akpabio, Rotimi Amechi, some of them who resigned from the cabinet to pursue their different political ambitions. Let's take a look at what this means, not only for the APC, but for the nation at large, because governance is involved here. I'm being joined by a former federal lawmaker, Senator Shehu Sani. Thank you so much, distinguished, for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Let me first and foremost, the president said he was going to replace them. But it does look like a lot of people thought that since the likes of Rotimi Amechi did not get a presidential ticket, Godswill Akpabio couldn't get a presidential ticket, and a few others who also resigned, perhaps they were going to be returned to the cabinet. Did you also think so? And what did you make of the president's decision?
Well, naturally, when you have a vacuum like this, with the resignation of the ministers and their entry into the political scene, it is incumbent on the president to nominate new set of ministers who will continue with the normal conduct of government and governance. And it has been habitual for this president to take a very long time before replacing a minister. As you can see, many of these ministers have been there for 8 years. But this time around, I think he's very conscious of the fact that time is against him, and there are projects that have been left uncompleted. For example, the railways under Rotimi Amechi. There is the need to have a head, one who will continue to steer those contracts, those agreements, so that at least the targets can be met. And in the case of Ministry of Niger Delta, both the minister and Minister of State resigned, so it was simply on autopilot. And there are issues that have to do with NNDC and NDDC, which need to be addressed. So what has been done with the names submitted to the Senate, I think, is in the right direction. And it is for the Senate to fix a date, screen them, so that they can continue with what they need to do. But I thought even that as critical as the Ministry of Transportation is, actually the former minister who has made pledges and promises of completing this rail line, some within this year, some next year, he should have been returned to ensure that all those contracts that were signed with China and Portugal and other financiers of our related projects, at least he sees them to the end. Because it has been the culture in this country. Each time you have a new minister, projects are usually stalled when ideally there should be continuity in governance and activities of government. So what has been done is in order, but what is important is that they should be cleared by the Senate to return to work, because they have less than 8 to 9 months to fold up, but not putting anybody there can turn into a serious problem for the country.
For those who were pessimistic, who thought that the president would not, probably leave it and, maybe just move people around in the cabinet, were you one of those who thought the president may not, and those who have thought that the president is not the one who is quick to make this kind of appointments? He takes his time.
Yeah, I was surprised to read that names were sent to the National Assembly, having that he has a record, a non-record is notoriously for delaying appointments and being indecisive on issues. If you can recall history, before he appointed the ministers when he took over office in 2015, it took him many months. Is it 4 to 5 months? I don't know.
Almost,
and then there was a minister from Kogi State that died in a road crash. It also took eternity for him to appoint a new one. And then you have cases of replacement of Minister of Agriculture and that of Power. It also takes time for him to reshuffle. So this is the first time, even in the history of this country, where you have ministers staying in the same positions for 8 years without being reshuffled, and those who are sacked without being replaced. But I think he has lately or belatedly recognized that he has very little time left, and then he took this action. So it is, in fact, contrary to what we have expected. I expected him to at least stay up to December before he did what he did, but at least he has done it now.
So some people will say it was needed for stability to keep people and for them to be able to do whatever they've started in their different ministries. Perhaps what has become, what has characterized a president's style in terms of appointment into federal cabinet compared to other presidents in the past who are used to moving ministers around and replacing them and all of that. That the Buhari style is what brings some level of stability and balance in the cabinet rather than moving people around and filled with uncertainty. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think President Buhari's style is boring and suffocating, and it is sort of disenchanting. In most countries of the world, the basis for reshuffling cabinets is to avail the ministers another opportunity to show their talents, expertise, and experience in other fields. And also, each time you reshuffle cabinet or you replace ministers, you give other persons the opportunity for them to serve the country. After all, this is a person who has been working hard and struggling to be president of Nigeria for almost over a decade. So my expectation of him was that even for the sake of injecting new ideas, new blood into the system and refreshing his government, there could have been this policy that was done during Obasanjo's administration, where ministers after a year, 2 years, they can be reshuffled. Or sometimes you even bring people with fresh ideas, with bright ideas. But it has been systemic in its own way. Sometimes even you see head of paramilitary agencies, the immigrations, the prisons, the customs, and all those things, and civil defense, are finishing their tenure, and police, IG, and extending them further, and service chiefs. So you see, his style has not been able to give many Nigerians the opportunity to serve their country. He started with this team, and he is finishing with them. And I believe that as an experienced statesman like him, who has been in the political terrain for a very long time, it is expected of him to have known so many people who have fresh ideas and who can do a lot. There is nothing wrong if you reshuffle, let's say you remove a minister from this agency and the ministry, and then you reshuffle him to another.
I mean, but did you have problems because you sat on you were one of those who sat on the confirmation of some of the ministers that President Buhari, when you were in the Senate, did you have problems in the quality of the persons that President Buhari had put forward? I'd like us to also analyze some of these persons that President has sent to the Senate. I mean, there are people who will praise the capacity and the manner and the caliber of people that Obasanjo brought into cabinet. The Okonjo-Iweala of this world, the Obieze Kwesili, a few other hands that came in to work with the Obasanjo administration. Would you say that the Buhari administration, if you look at the caliber of people that have been nominated, are you impressed by their profile?
Well, it is not about their person, first of all. It's about the institution of government. You can be an engineer that is in one ministry, but you can also be shuffled to another ministry to do what you need to do. I think the handicap of the National Assembly has been the fact that each time ministerial nominees are sent to the National Assembly, the president doesn't attach, we don't know what ministries they are going to be sent to.
And it's similar to the letter is also similar to all of the times the president has sent the names.
So the questions are always random. You don't even know what to ask any person. You can have a barrister who is nominated, and then you don't know whether it's going to be taken to Ministry of Justice or Agriculture. So you simply ask general questions. So I think in the future, what is important is that a president who is sending nominees to the National Assembly must let the National Assembly know where he is taking them to, so that the questions can be professional, can be direct, can be relevant to
and
where
the grilling will be proper, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Let's bring in a former minister here who also worked in the President Buhari's cabinet, a former Minister of Sport, Mr. Solomon Dalong, who joins us now virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Dalong, for your time tonight. Give us a sense of your feeling. I mean, you've worked with President Buhari, and what you've seen today, the caliber of people that have been nominated as ministers to replace the like of Ogboye Naya Onu, the likes of Rotimi Amechi and Godswill Akpabio. What are your thoughts on these personalities?
Well, I congratulate the president for the first time in acting promptly and responding to filling of vacancies on time. Because, like Senator Sani did mention, in the first term where I served, it was after 6 months before we were appointed. And even after our appointment, it took a very long time before we were inaugurated. And when we lost a colleague and another member of the cabinet resigned, it took nearly over a year before the replacement was made. So for the president to have sent in the names of these nominees this time, I think he had responded to the fact that the country needs their services at this critical time, and that governance cannot be allowed to slow down because of a vacuum. But as to the credentials of the people nominated, I think the president picked more of people from the South and possibly the Southeast. And I'm tempted to look at it as trying to pacify that zone that had been crying foul of marginalization, and especially looking at elections ahead and the crisis that now has characterized the electoral process of production of candidates and the mass defections in his party. So, of course,
okay, I mean,
I
imagine that, Mr. Dalong,
try to stabilize.
I imagine that some of these replacements are directly from the states where we saw some of the resignation. For example, and Ademola Adegoroye from Ondo State will probably be replacing Tayo Alasha Adura, who also resigned, and Udom Udi from River State will naturally will be replacing Rotimi Amechi, and also the likes of Umana, a former governorship candidate in Akwa Ibom State, naturally will be replacing Goswe Akpabio. So, in this sense, what does it feel like working in a Buhari cabinet, given your experience? Is it a cabinet you work that you have a free hand to work? Or, I mean, how would you describe or how would you predict their next 8 months or 7 months that they're about in office would look like, comparing or looking at working in a Buhari cabinet, typically?
Well, Buhari, as a person and his cabinet, it gives you a free hand to operate. And but it is not the same thing that I enjoy the same support with the government, because within the government, people whom you deal with, facilitating those within the veranda of the president that
the audio quality there is very terrible. We'll try to see if it gets better. We'll come back to you, Mr. Dalong, the former Minister for Sport under the Buhari government in the first term. But, I mean, the same question that I asked Mr. Dalong is working under the Buhari government. Do you see, because now it is obvious that there's no more time. Do you imagine that there will be some speed, some energy that will be infused into the work mode in the cabinet now that they have just about 7 or 8 months to go?
Well, I have not worked in his cabinet, so I will not be able to know how they work there. But from what we can see from a distance, it is left for the individual ministers who are taking charge to hit the ground running, to go through the files of their predecessors and see what they can do within the very short period of time. But the government has been one that has always been very slow. And if you depend perhaps on trying to see the president and do what you need to do until you get directives to do it, and then you will waste your 7 to 8 months without doing anything. A simple thing that needs to be done under this administration takes eternity for it to be executed. So most of these ministers who are just coming into office now, I believe it is an opportunity of their lifetime to do what they can within a very short time. And like I'm emphasizing on the railways, there were promises that Lagos-Ibadan will 100% be done, Kaduna to Kano, and then Kano to Maradi. So I believe contract has been signed, and whoever is going to be the Minister of Transportation has to come with this foreknowledge that until he hits the ground running, many things will be left undone. So it is for them to write their name in gold within a very short time, to sprint like 100 meters and to achieve what they want to achieve, because there is no time. And for the president, he knows that in less than a year, his chapter and his era is over in the history of Nigeria. So he has to prepare himself for post-presidential life. Either he comes to live with us in Kaduna, or he goes to Daura to go and stay. But we are expecting him to come back to Kaduna to us. And then all that you have done, you will be able to see it clearly by the time you're out of power. Whether you have performed, all the people you have made, those you have or made, those you have injured, those you have helped, and those you don't. When you finish and you go back to your home, you'll be able to see. For now, he's still in charge. and then he still have some very few minutes, and which is the injury time for him to do what he needs to do.
You imagine that the present Senate, as is constituted, a lot of them very angry because they will not come back. A lot of them still, I mean, in their shape and color, the way they've been, you imagine that these guys might have, these nominees might have an easy ride. Do you think?
Yeah,
in terms of the confirmation
naturally,
process.
At the twilight of every tenure, you are bound to have this kind of changes. People decamping from one party to another, some gaining position, some losing it, some are angry and some are happy. This convulsion has been with us for almost two decades now. So there is virtually nothing they can do. All they can is simply to screen them, to pass them. And this is not like our own kind of Senate when we have to grill you to the last point. They are experts in approving everything. So they can just tell them to go after whatever. So, but for now, I think what is good is that they should do it as they have been used to, because there is virtually no time to waste. And for him, he has come to realization that with all the promises and pledges you make as a candidate prior to 2015, you will find out that you can't solve the problem of Nigeria as a magician. You simply have to do what you can and then leave others to continue. But what is most important, he should use the remaining period of time to secure the nation from terrorists and bandits and try to do what he can to stabilize the country and conduct free, fair, and credible elections. If he is able to conduct an election without interference, as we have seen they have done in their APC, trying to nominate this person as they shouldn't interfere, allow transparency, and then hand over to whoever wins. I think that will be his last legacy as far as his era is concerned.
On a final note, a lot of people had said, look, INEC's schedule of activities that allows for almost 8 months of campaign, that it will be injurious to governance because attention will be on the campaigns and preparing for elections. Do you expect the worst situation, a scenario playing out, considering the fact that within those 8 months are the issue of security, the issue of epileptic nature of power, and the issue of ASU strike, a lot of students who are still at home, there's a fuel scarcity.
Yeah, I think the problem is rooted in the Electoral Act, where about 180 days was given. Most of the people that now hold the ticket of their political parties, either as governors, as senators, as members of House of Reps or State House of Assembly, have a very long time to campaign. Many of them will end up in trouble with many of their electorates, even for the fact that people will gather outside your house trying to see you for 8 months, trying to pressurize you to address their issues is also a major problem. But in the general sense, I think it's also incumbent on the presidential candidates of these political parties to know very well that before they become president, before they are able to realize their dreams, their ambitions, and whatever they have been struggling to become, there must be a country. We must avoid whipping up ethnic, religious, and sectional sentiment, because election is not just a democratic exercise, it's a national security issue. If we play it wrongly, it may bring an end to this country. So we should make sure that whatever we do, we reflect the realities of our country, and also we balance on our own tripods and fault lines that have been an issue for us over a period of time. So presidential candidates will naturally campaign in a very unusual atmosphere. For example, in most of the states in the northwestern part of Nigeria that have been under terrorists and bandits, are infested by terrorists and bandits, it will be difficult for many to go to such areas and campaign. But they must find a way they can reach out to the people. So at least the president needs to sit down with all the presidential candidates. In the interest of the survival, the unity, and the existence of Nigeria, there is a need for them to campaign with decorum, with respect, and with responsibility. Yes.
Senator Shehu Sani, I must indeed thank you so much for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Senator Shehu Sani, a former federal lawmaker. And we had earlier a former Minister of Sport, Mr. Solomon Dalong. Unfortunately, the network connection couldn't allow us to continue with the interview with him. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, Honorable Shina Pella, a member of the Federal House, will be joining us. He recently defected from the APC to Accord Party and is alleged that the primary, which he did not succeed in, was a sham. And we'll also dig into the Kogi House of Assembly crisis, the impeachment saga. Stay with us, everyone. Much more to talk about after this break. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Crisis began last week in the Kogi State House of Assembly when some lawmakers in the House came together to impeach the Speaker, Honorable Matthew Kolawole, over allegations of misconduct and money laundering running into millions of naira. The impeachment, according to the lawmakers, took effect from Monday, June 13, 2022. According to them, Kolawole's alleged corrupt antecedent led to the non-payment of members' constitutional entitlement, gross corruption, and diversion of funds meant for the Assembly since 2019. They also said that the Speaker obtained a personal loan running to hundreds of millions using the Kogi State House of Assembly account to the detriment of the members. The aggrieved lawmakers allege that Kolawole diminished the integrity of fellow elected members by serially recording meetings and confidential conversation of members, which he used as a tool to blackmail members before Governor Yahaya Bello. Well, in a twist, today, some members of Kogi State House of Assembly said that they never plan to impeach the Speaker of the House and Honorable Matthew Kolawole. That is, the Assembly members distanced themselves from the alleged signatures collated to impeach the Speaker. The position of the lawmakers is coming a few days after the suspended former Deputy Speaker, Honorable Ahmed Mohamed, and two other former principal officers, Honorable Bello Atsan Abdullah and Moses Ododo, came up with a letter that Prince Matthew Kolawole has been impeached as a Speaker of the Kogi State House of Assembly over alleged financial impropriety, high-handedness, serial abuse of power, refusal to abide by the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic 1999 as amended. Well, we're supposed to have a two-edged conversation. That means having the two sides in the divide, because the House is obviously now divided into two in the Kogi State House of Assembly. Don't forget, Kogi State House of Assembly is notorious in the past for this kind of crisis, impeachment and counter-impeachment and all of that. Honorable Ododo, Moses was supposed to be here, but at the last minute, he opted out. But we have Honorable Enema Paul, who is obviously on the side of Honorable Matthew Kolawole. Thank you so much, Honorable Paul, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So did they actually impeach Honorable Kolawole?
If I will want to comment on that, you just said something that Honorable Matthew Kolawole, the Speaker of Kogi State House of Assembly, was impeached on the 13th, on Monday.
Those are the claims.
Was that what you said?
Those are the claims from the Ododo side.
Okay, from the suspended members.
You suspended them? When
Yes.
did you suspend them?
We suspended them on Friday last week.
Okay, and they said the impeachment of Honorable Matthew starts on Monday. That's yesterday?
Monday 13th, they said
okay, Monday 13th, that's a week ago.
Speaker Kolawole,
yeah.
Mr. Sean, that was on public holiday, Democracy Day. There was no work on Monday 13th. So how could that be? How could there be an impeachment?
Was there a collision
on a public holiday?
Was there a collision of signatures?
For impeachment?
Won't you compile signature before to move for an impeachment? Isn't that the process?
Mr. Sean, I want to say something. You know what it means to have a governor, to become a president from your state? That's a very big plus for any state. Governor Alhaji Yahya Bello wanted to become the president of Nigeria. And we met in Abuja here before the primary with Right Honorable Speaker in the meeting, and we all agreed to have a communique, to pass a vote of confidence on the governor, Alhaji Yahya Bello, seeking to become the president of Nigeria. And somebody will now want to blackmail the House. Where is our integrity, Mr. Sean?
So is that what is playing out? So, I mean, you're saying that those three principal officers were trying to blackmail the House. Is that what is...
Exactly.
Okay, so let's ask a few questions here.
Thank you.
Did the Speaker obtain any loan?
Privately?
For his personal use?
Kogi State
in the name
House
of
of
the House of Assembly?
No.
Or that you are not aware of?
I said no, Mr. Sean. I would have loved to see those making these allegations, either one of them here, so that both of us can really sit to talk here. I hate blackmail. I have seen that the youths don't even have conscience again. Why would you just, for your personal interest or benefit, you will just lie against your innocent brother? How will Honorable Matthew Kolawole obtain a loan that runs into millions of naira without a resolution from the House to the bank? How would that be possible?
Isn't that what they said, the premise of their anger and their disaffection against the Speaker that made them make an impeachment move against him?
Where was the impeachment? Where was the venue of the impeachment, Mr. Sean, please?
I mean, you are a member of the House. You should be able to tell us. That's the reason why we invited you.
You see, Mr. Sean, State House of Assembly is an institution that is governed by the law and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is not an association where idle-minded people just gather to discuss. Everything we do in that house is backed by the law, and the law, that is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended 1999. Matthew Kolawole cannot take a personal loan by his power as the Speaker that runs into millions of naira.
But these guys, I mean, unfortunately,
without a resolution from the House.
They backed out at the last minute, but these guys said they have document evidence.
I challenge them to present it.
Now, is it also true that they said that the Speaker recorded conversations between lawmakers and he used it against them in front of the governor?
I wouldn't want to say that. Where did that happen, and what did they say?
These are the allegations, because you know what the process of impeachment is like. The allegations of misconduct will be raised, and it has to be substantiated.
Mr. Sheon, the reason for their suspension was gross misconduct. You don't bring the status of the House of Assembly to disrepute. You don't put that into a derogatory level. That is an institution that was established by the law. You don't do that.
Has the House been silencing voices of dissent who do not agree with the governor?
There had never been anything like that.
Because this is one of the claims.
We have a House.
That anyone who sounds an opposition against the governor is being shut out.
I want to say something here, Mr. Chong. Kogi State House of Assembly is one of the best State House of Assembly. That is where we have about 3 chartered accountants.
By what standard?
As members. That's where we have doctor as a member. That is an assembly that we are well schooled and well trained. We can't be silenced by anybody. And the governor has given us that independence to go about our normal duties as far as Kogi State House of Assembly is concerned. I want to ask them, what had they brought up as an opinion to move the processes of lawmaking in Kogi State House of Assembly, and it was obstructed by anybody?
So the rest of you suspended the Speaker and the Majority Leader?
We did not suspend
the Deputy Speaker. You suspended the deputy speaker.
Suspended the deputy speaker. We have the power, as enshrined in the Constitution 1999 as amended, Section 92, subsection 2C. And if we go by the standing order, Order 10, subsection 65, Rule 12, we have the power to suspend the deputy speaker. And the majority leader and others below, we just needed just a simple majority, and we had that.
So before I allow you to go, unfortunately, we would have had a rounded conversation, but because of the other honorable member, it's just going to be one-sided.
If their hands
but
are
the
clear,
question,
why do they refuse to come here?
I was hoping that they would do so because
I shall lend them anytime. Tomorrow is still another day.
Yeah. So now the question is that, are you willing to resolve this matter, or you are throwing your colleagues out in the cold?
Mr. Chair, I want to say this. Kogi State House of Assembly has no problem with anybody.
Is this about the coming elections also? Is this about the 2023 elections?
But among the 3 members suspended, nobody is contesting for anything. The deputy speaker is not contesting. The majority leader is not contesting. And the deputy chief, with former deputy chief, they are all former now. None of them is contesting for anything, Mr. Chair.
Because it's also curious to know that some of the most senior principal officers have been suspended. The deputy speaker, majority leader, and the whip of the house. Isn't that...
You don't bring an institution like Kogi State House of Assembly into disrepute.
All right. I must sincerely thank you so much, Honorable Paul and Emma, for joining us tonight. I appreciate your time. And
thank you very much, Mr. Sean.
Also will stay their own side of the story.
I will be willing to meet with them here another time, anytime, whether tomorrow or anytime.
All right. Thank you so much,
God
Mr.
bless
Paul.
you. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, next on our conversation tonight is a member of the House of Representatives from Iseyin, Itesiwaju, Kajola, Iwajowa Federal Constituency of Oyo State, Honorable Shina Pella, who today dumped the All Progressives Congress APC and has publicly announced his new party, the Accord Party, as his new political platform. Honorable Pella had released a statement, and he said he was forced to exit the APC because of what he termed the undemocratic actions of the leaders in the APC. He said further that the Accord Party had also demonstrated love and support for the Okiogun people. Honorable Pella had contested the Oyo North senatorial ticket on the platform of the APC, and the incumbent Senator Fatai Buhari, who is an indigene of Ogbomoso, was declared the winner. I have Honorable Shina Pella joining me live here in our studio. Thanks so much, Honorable, for joining us.
Good evening, Sean. How are you today? I'm
well. Good to see you. A little bit were curious why you left the House to want to run for Senate. I mean, they imagine that that was a comfort zone for you, and you wanted to trouble the waters as far as the politics of your party was concerned. That was where the trouble started from, isn't it?
But it should not be about me. It's not about troubling the waters. I believe that politics should be about the people, especially when you're talking about democracy. The most important factor, the most important interest to protect in democracy should be the people. And being in the House of Reps is because my people wanted me in the House of Reps. And within my constituency, I have at least 2 local governments, Kajola local government and Iwajowa local government. Both local governments have not been able to have the opportunity to field a representative within the last 16 years. So if I decided to run for a second term, it means that I'll be adding another 4 years to that, which will make them 20 years of, agitating to have a representative. So it is not about me, it is about the people.
So that's the reason, that was your reason for not wanting to be back in the House of Reps?
Yes, to be back in the House of Reps.
So you wanted to go for Senate?
I have to make sure that I uphold the principle of equity, fairness, and justice within my constituency.
So in the House of Representatives, in your federal constituency, there are 4 local governments.
There are 4 local governments.
Out of which 2 of them two of those local governments has never had a representation in the
last 16 years.
So you thought that it was good for you to leave that?
I think it is honorable for me to just.
What about the Senate?
Yeah, but the Senate, where I represent now is a fraction of my senatorial district. My senatorial district consists of two major geopolitical zones, which is the Okiogun region. The Okiogun region occupies 10 local governments and occupies about 60% of our land in Oyo State. This region has been marginalized a lot. This is a region that has the second suspended lake in the world, and yet nothing is happening there. This is a region that has Ikere Gorge Dam, a dam that has the capacity to give power and even irrigation and water to the whole of the south, and yet this region is being marginalized.
Marginalized in what sense?
In every way that
politically
politically, in the scheme of things.
So the Senator Buhari is from Ogbomoso.
Senator Buhari is from Ogbomoso, which is 3 local government area of my senatorial district of a 13 local government area.
So how long has Ogbomoso's part of your senatorial district had it?
You know, they've had it the second term for 8 years now, so going to about 8 years
So
now.
you thought that it was right for you to go to the Senate and represent the people of your area whom you consider marginalized over the years?
My people believe that that is the right thing to do.
But was it politically expedient to take that decision at the time you took it?
Yeah, definitely, because that is the will of the people.
Because a lot of people have described it as a political suicide. You were comfortable, but yet you wanted to go for what, I mean...
No, it is not suicide. It is, you know, like I said, politics should be about the people. And the people feel marginalized. This is... Look at Bayelsa. Bayelsa, with 8 local governments, has 3 senators. And yet Okiogun, with 10 local governments, is still sharing 1 senator with Ogbomoso, with the 13 local government area.
So you think that the rotation should come to your own side?
That is the plan. That is what happened. And in the history of my senatorial district, there is no senator that have even been there for 2 terms. But we saw the reason the last time why we had to make sure that we return the senator for the second time. And so that by this time in 2023, you know, they can come back to, you know, to...
Are you a party man, true and true?
Yeah, I'm a party man when the party operates on the right internal cohesion and democracy.
You're a party man on condition.
No, because when the party puts the interest of the majority at heart, yes, I'm a party man.
When do you think the party does that? I mean, is it based on your own standards?
No, okay. The president promised us a bottom-up approach, which is going to be different from the Abuja downward that they normally do. And as you know, APC did the restructuring just within maybe about over a year ago. And we had our World Congress, we had the local government Congress. As at last year, till this moment, there was no result of World Congress and local government Congress.
So is that where the problem? I mean, you have alleged that the primary where you lost the election to Senator Buhari.
I didn't lose the election. There was no election. There was no election. No, there was no election.
I mean,
there was no election.
Wasn't there a primary conducted?
There was no election. The primary was meant to be conducted on Saturday. And on that Saturday, we had 5 aspirants. 4 of us were already at the venue. And we had, Arise TV was there. I think Channels was there as well. AIT was there. And even INEC, we had the police, NSCDC, DSS. There was no election on the day of the election. So the next day, they constitutionally shifted the venue of the election to another venue. And that is contrary to, you said this on your, on your program show, that at least before a political party can shift the venue of the election, they have to inform the INEC 7 days notice, right? And that didn't happen. So there was no election.
So in that sense, did you appeal the process?
Yeah, that's what happened. We appealed the process and we waited for the time for the appeal, and we noticed that the party is not saying anything. So which obviously believes that probably maybe the party doesn't need the people of Okiogun in the party.
So have the party gone ahead to submit names of the candidates?
Yeah, I believe so. The party has done that.
And Senator Buhari is the candidate that was returned?
For APC.
So that's the reason why you have moved to the Accord Party?
Yes, because that is what my people want.
Is it your people that wanted you, or you are the one who wanted to be in office and you wanted the platform?
Right now, it is not even about myself anymore. It is about my people. And that is why you will see that even as a sitting House of Rep member, I decided to sacrifice, my ticket, for a second term, basically because I needed to promote peace so that we can uphold the principle of equity, fairness, and justice.
So you want to achieve this by all means?
No, it is not about me. It is about making sure that I'm there for my people.
So you want to achieve it by all means?
Inshallah.
Or by all means possible?
By the grace of God.
So now, what gives you the confidence about Accord Party? Is a party that has that strength and the energy, politically speaking, to win for you your desired position?
There are different factors, that made us to align ourselves with Accord Party. Accord Party, on one side, have shown that it pays attention to internal cohesion and democracy by giving opportunity to young people within the party and also recognizing women and people with disabilities. And outside that, Accord Party is the first party in Oyo State that zoned their senatorial district to the Okeogun region.
There's a member of your party also who's moved to Accord Party. Oh, no, that's in Osun State.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and also, if you look at the balloting process, it is very important as well for proper sensitization for the people, what kind of party that you want to go, because most of the people, they are more conversant with the broom and the umbrella, party. So we put this into consideration as well, having our Accord Party to be the first party on the ballot paper, and also reminds us that you have the power to elect your leaders, because the sign for the Accord Party is the thumb.
All right. So on a final note, Honorable Pella, the supporters of Senator Buhari have said, no matter what party you go to, you'll still be beaten. Because according to them, they defeated you at the primary, that they want to defeat you yet again.
So wait and see. 2023 is there for us.
So, should you lose that election, what would you do?
It is not about me, Shell. Don't forget I had my business before I come into politics. I came purposely into politics for my people. I came into politics because my region has been marginalized.
So if you lose, you go back to your business?
I'm not going to lose. Don't say that.
No, I'm asking. But you should have,
because this is
about winning or losing.
Democracy is about majority, as they say. Election, the majority will win an election, right? You have an area with 10 local governments competing with an area with 3 local governments. Except APC want to rig.
But this senator has won elections in the past.
Yeah, but because he won from Okeogun. In 2015, he had about 17,000 votes, and he had about 87,000 votes from Okeogun. In 2019, he had about 16,000 votes from Ogbomoso, from his town, and he had 88,000 votes from Okeogun. And now Okeogun people are saying enough is enough. They want to try their own people.
I wish you the very best, Honorable Shina Pella. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
It's a pleasure.
All right. This I would like you to touch on in 20 seconds. What lesson has this taught you, just 20 seconds, of internal politics?
The lesson it has taught me is, but trust me, life is just an experience. If I'm asked to do this again and again, I'll still do the same thing. I'm there for my people, and I put peace first in whatever that I do. So the lesson it's taught me is to continue to be there for the people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's our show tonight. Everyone, many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now.